You know, for the longest time, many people assumed that hearing loss was just part of growing older. Something that just sneaks up on you after 60. And yes, while there's truth to that, what most folks don't realize is how it affects you depends a lot on who you are. Especially whether you're a man or a woman. That's right. Hearing loss doesn't hit everyone the same way. And if you're an older woman, especially one living on your own, there are things you need to know. Not just to protect your ears, but to protect your independence, your confidence, even your safety. So in this video, we're going to uncover the truth about hearing loss after 60. Why it often shows up differently in women than in men. Why many women miss the early signs. And what simple, science-backed steps you can take starting today to hear better, live safer, and stay connected longer. Let's dive in. Let's start with this. Why do more men get diagnosed with hearing loss than women? Well, here's something interesting. Statistically, men in their 60s and 70s show higher rates of hearing loss than women the same age. And at first glance, that might make you think women don't need to worry as much. But hang on. Because this gap, it's not always what it seems. Many men lose their hearing because of lifelong exposure to noise, construction, factories, loud hobbies like motorcycles or hunting. That kind of damage builds over decades. It's what doctors call noise-induced hearing loss. And it tends to affect the ability to hear higher frequencies like birdsong, doorbells, or even parts of normal speech. But for women, hearing loss often comes from something quieter, slower, and harder to notice at first. As women age, especially through and after menopause, hormonal changes start to affect many parts of the body, including the inner ear. Estrogen, for example, helps protect tiny hair cells in the cochlea, which are essential for picking up sound. When estrogen drops, those cells can weaken, making it harder to hear clearly, especially in noisy places like restaurants or when multiple people are talking. It's not that women don't lose hearing. It's that they lose it differently. And sometimes, they don't even realize it's happening. Take Helen, for example. She's 72, lives alone in a quiet neighborhood. She's active, sharp, independent. But over the past year, she's found herself asking people to repeat things more often, especially on the phone. She used to enjoy attending her book club, but now, with multiple voices around the table, she often tunes out. She thought maybe she was just tired. Or maybe the other women were mumbling. Turns out, it wasn't them. It was hearing loss creeping in. Now here's the risk. Because women like Helen may not feel their hearing is bad, they often delay getting checked. They compensate. They nod, smile, guess what someone said. But mishearing isn't just awkward, it can be dangerous. Especially when you're alone. Imagine missing the sound of a smoke detector in the middle of the night. Or not hearing someone knocking at your door. Or misunderstanding a doctor's instructions. These aren't just small annoyances. They can affect your health, your safety, even your independence. And that's why early action is so important. So let's talk about some of the early signs of hearing loss in women, the subtle clues many people miss. First, trouble following conversations in groups. If you can hear someone clearly one-on-one, but struggle in a noisy room, that's a red flag. Second, turning up the TV louder than usual, but still thinking everyone on screen is mumbling. Third, feeling drained after social events. Not because you're antisocial, but because your brain is working overtime to fill in missing words. Fourth, avoiding phone calls. Not because you're shy, but because you're tired of saying, "Sorry, can you say that again?" Sound familiar? These signs may not seem urgent. But left unchecked, hearing loss can spiral into isolation, frustration, even cognitive decline. Yes, recent studies show that untreated hearing loss is linked to higher risk of memory problems and dementia. Now, I don't say this to scare you. I say it because too many women wait too long to get help, thinking they'll manage or it's not that bad. But you don't have to wait until it's bad. You can take action now. Quietly, comfortably, and in ways that don't involve bulky hearing aids or expensive treatments. Let's talk solutions. And I'll start with the simplest, most overlooked one, getting your hearing tested. Did you know you can get a basic hearing screening at your local pharmacy or even online? No needles. No commitment. Just a quick way to get a baseline and see if it's time to talk to a specialist. Take Margaret, 69. She suspected her hearing was fading but felt embarrassed. Her daughter finally convinced her to try a free test at the clinic down the street. Turned out, she had mild hearing loss in one ear, but catching it early meant she could wear a small, nearly invisible hearing device that helped right away. Her confidence instantly better. Here's another tip: protect your hearing before it gets worse. If you live in a noisy building or like to listen to music or podcasts, use the 60/60ths rule, never more than 60% volume, for no more than 60 minutes without a break. And if you're around loud sounds like yard work, city traffic, or construction, use earplugs. The foam kind costs less than a coffee and can save your hearing for years. Also, pay attention to your overall health. Hearing is closely linked to blood circulation, especially in the tiny blood vessels of the inner ear. That means managing your blood pressure, cholesterol, and diabetes isn't just good for your heart, it's good for your ears, too. And don't underestimate the power of nutrition. Foods rich in folate, magnesium, omega-3s, and antioxidants have all been linked to better hearing health. Think leafy greens, walnuts, salmon, oranges. It's not about becoming a nutritionist, it's about giving your body the tools it needs to protect you. Finally, and I can't stress this enough, don't let pride keep you from connection. There's no shame in asking someone to repeat themselves. There's no shame in using a hearing device. And there's certainly no shame in taking care of your body. In fact, the people who age best are often the ones who ask for help early, not late. You'd be surprised how many strong, smart women have quietly taken steps to improve their hearing and never looked back. And honestly, they say the same thing: I wish I'd done it sooner. Now, we've talked about how hearing loss shows up differently for women. We've explored risks, real-life stories, and practical steps. But there's something deeper we need to talk about. Because hearing isn't just about the ear. It's about connection, confidence, and dignity. And in the next part of this video, we're going to explore how hearing loss, left untreated, can quietly chip away at all of those things, and how you can protect not just your ears, but your whole self. Are you with me? When your hearing fades, it doesn't just affect your ears. It affects how you relate to the world. It can slowly pull you away from the things and people you love most. Think about it. When you can't hear clearly, conversations become frustrating. You might start avoiding phone calls. You might stop going to group activities or decline invitations altogether. Not because you don't care, but because it's exhausting trying to keep up. You pretend to laugh when you didn't catch the joke. You nod politely even though you missed the question. And little by little, the world starts to feel quieter. Not just in sound, but in connection. That kind of quiet. It can be lonely. And loneliness isn't just sad. It's harmful. In fact, studies now show that chronic loneliness has the same health risks as smoking 15 cigarettes a day. It raises the risk of heart disease, stroke, and memory decline. For older adults, especially those living alone, that's a serious concern. But here's the good news: it doesn't have to be this way. There are so many simple, powerful things you can do to stay connected. To keep hearing and living fully. And it starts with recognizing that your hearing deserves just as much care as your vision, your heart, or your bones. Let me tell you about Nancy. She's 75. Loves knitting, gardening, and chatting with her grandkids on FaceTime. But over time, she found herself saying what? More often. She stopped joining her church choir because she couldn't follow the music anymore. She felt embarrassed, like she was letting others down. Then one day, her daughter brought her to a local hearing center. They did a full hearing test and fitted her with a discreet, easy-to-use device. Within a week, she was back in the choir. And for the first time in months, she didn't feel invisible in a room full of voices. It wasn't just about hearing again. It was about being seen again. That's the real value of hearing care. It gives you back your place in the world. Now, let's talk about one more important piece of the puzzle: emotional well-being. Many older women carry a quiet weight on their shoulders. They're the ones who always listened, always supported others. But now, when their own hearing begins to slip, they often don't feel comfortable speaking up. Some worry they'll seem weak or needy. Some fear being labeled old. Some just don't want to bother anyone. But here's what I want to say, clearly and gently: you matter. Your needs matter. And asking for help isn't weakness, it's wisdom. Taking care of your hearing is an act of self-respect. It's a way of saying, I still want to be part of this world, fully and clearly. And you're not alone. There are support groups, local clinics, and even online communities filled with women going through the same thing. Women who once felt embarrassed, but now feel empowered. And here's another thing: technology today is better than ever. Forget those clunky, whistling devices from decades past. Modern hearing aids are sleek, almost invisible, and smart. Some even connect to your phone, so you can adjust the volume discreetly. Others filter background noise, so you can actually enjoy dinner at a busy restaurant again. And there are programs, especially for seniors, that can help cover the cost. If you're in the US, check with Medicare Advantage plans, local hearing clinics, or community health resources. You might be surprised what's available. The key is not to wait. Because the sooner you address hearing loss, the easier it is to adapt and the less it affects your brain. Studies show that people who use hearing aids regularly are less likely to develop memory problems later on. Your brain needs sound. It thrives on conversation, music, laughter. Let's keep it nourished. Now, I know this journey can feel overwhelming. Maybe you're not sure where to start. Maybe you're afraid of what you'll find out. Maybe you've been putting it off for years. But let me tell you this: every woman I've spoken to who took that first step, whether it was a hearing test, a conversation with her doctor, or just asking a friend for advice, never regretted it. In fact, many said it opened up a whole new chapter of life. They felt more confident, more independent, more themselves. And that's really what this is about. Keeping the freedom to be you, not just in your body, but in your voice, your spirit, your joy. So if you've been wondering whether your hearing is fading, don't brush it off. Don't wait for it to get worse. Start small. Start today. Maybe that means booking a checkup. Maybe it means talking to someone you trust. Or maybe it's just admitting to yourself, hey, something's changed. And that's okay. Because when you act early, you're not just protecting your ears, you're protecting your story. Your ability to stay connected, engaged, and fully alive in the moments that matter most. And if you're watching this and thinking, this sounds like me, or someone you love, then I hope you'll take this as a gentle nudge. A little reminder that you're not alone. That help is out there. And that you deserve to hear the world clearly. Now, before we wrap up, I want to leave you with one small idea. Something simple, but powerful. Next time you're with a friend, a neighbor, or someone in your family, ask them how their hearing's doing. Or share your own experience. Sometimes, the hardest part is just starting the conversation. And if you've already taken steps to improve your hearing, why not share what worked for you in the comments? You might inspire someone else to take their first step. Because the truth is, we learn best from each other. And there's real strength in telling our stories. So if this video spoke to you, I'd love for you to like it, share it with someone you care about, and subscribe for more down-to-earth tips on living well after 60. And if you feel comfortable, leave a comment below. Tell us, what's one thing you've learned about your hearing or your health in recent years? Your voice could be just what someone else needs to hear. Take care. And keep listening to your body, your heart, and the people who care about you.